This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. There's somebody on Twitter who makes GIFs, out of some of my more flourishy moments. So I'm giving Peter Bergman a lot to work with on this one. Thanks, Peter, for all your hard work. This seems to be the thread and the agenda of the day. This seems to be the theme of today's videos and of obviously the overarching theme for the Republican Party. And it is always spurring me on to ask this question, to demand this of the American people, to stop electing stupid people to high office. Stop electing morons to Congress. Stop electing people like Marjorie Taylor Greene to high office. Yesterday, there was a hearing, Homeland Security hearing, where the director of the FBI, the Trump-appointed director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, and also Biden let him stay on, and the Homeland Security chief, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas. And Marjorie Taylor Greene made a spectacle of herself, which is really her only duty in Congress. It's her only objective is to shine a bright light on herself in, I think, an effort to aggrandize herself to Donald Trump, to let him know she's there, to make him take notice so he will eventually make her his VP pick. And there was a stretch of questioning where she's screaming and yelling and talking about terrorism and trying to get Christopher Wray to investigate her colleague, Rashida Tlaib. But also, I put this on my Twitter. You didn't see it? As though everyone is singularly focused on what she posts on Twitter. And his kind of droll responses really were the best medicine for the day, because it's without even trying, he is highlighting what an absolute train wreck of a human being and by extension congressperson she is. Watch this moment between Marjorie Taylor Greene and FBI Director Christopher Wray.
Well, you relied on the Southern Poverty Law Center, but I would have you know, Mr. Wray, that this one right here, this person involved in the global Intifada group that illegally, they broke the law, came in and occupied the Cannon Office House building, interrupted Congress, interrupted hearings. Right here, Katrina Bleakley is the lead attorney for the Southern Poverty Law Center. Were you aware of this?
Congresswoman, as I said, I haven't seen the photos that you're holding up before.
Maybe, well, I posted them on my Twitter account. It's public. You know, maybe
I don't
you guys
spend a lot of time on Twitter.
Well, you know, I'm sure you do, because the Department of Homeland Security, organized with other offices, has censored many Americans, including myself.
I'm not part of the Department of Homeland Security.
Right, Mr. Wray, you should be interested in investigating terrorism, and this right here is proof that we had terrorists in our own office building. Global Intifada. And you rely on the Southern Poverty Law Centers. Katrina Bleakley is one of the organizers. I'll send this over to your office, so maybe perhaps you can stop targeting innocent grandmothers and veterans who walked through the Capitol on January 6th and might actually go after people tied to Hamas, tied to Hezbollah, and likely Iran. Mr. Wray, are you interested in members of Congress that are organized and participating in a Facebook group that has ties to Hamas?
We're not investigating people for participating in a Facebook group.
A Facebook group that is tied to Hamas?
We have multiple investigations into individuals affiliated with Hamas, and they're active investigations.
All of that, make no mistake, is for the cameras. She's not getting to some policy objective that she'd like to put into place. She's just making hay with Republicans so she can go and post that on her Twitter that she desperately wants the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation to pay attention to. I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter, Christopher Wray says. I'm not a part of the Homeland Security Administration. And we're not investigating people for participating in Facebook groups. But the most egregious moment here is where she is trying to create some equivalency between people who protest, normal, regular protests at the Capitol. Look, when I worked for the United States Senate, there was a portion of time that I worked for the Senate. I worked not for the committee, but I worked in and around the committee that was investigating like the Buddhist monks who gave campaign donations to the Clintons. It was another one of these manufactured Republican hearings. And a lot of people will protest. They'll make their way into the hearing room as though they're just going to be the public viewing, and then they'll stand up and make their statement, and then they are ejected. But what she's trying to do is put that on par, that kind of an occurrence on par with innocent grandmas and veterans just walking through the Capitol. What she's talking about there is the insurrection. She's attempting to create equivalence between regular political protests and the armed insurrection at the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. She's trying to create equivalence between people who are just participating in civil disobedience and trying to get attention for their cause, and people who violently stormed the United States Capitol with the clear objective of overthrowing the United States government by stopping the certification of Joe Biden's election so that Donald Trump could stay president even though he lost in grand fashion. There is no equivalence there. They are two separate, far apart things. But not in the mind, the glorious mind of Marjorie Taylor Greene. To her, it's all the same. Innocent grandmas and veterans. People have been convicted for seditious conspiracy by juries of their peers. Evidence has been presented to grand juries that then forwarded the case on to a prosecutor and then been prosecuted by another jury. But they're innocent grandmas and veterans. This is the state of the Republican Party today, and you should be alarmed that people in disparate congressional districts all across the country are electing the most reprehensible among us to represent them. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Clay Higgins, who I'm going to talk about in the next video. People like Matt Gaetz. People like Paul Gosar. The worst of the worst, idiots like Louis Gohmert, are being reelected term after term after term after term. Look, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the strategy should be about changing hearts and minds. I do my part. I think that I know that some modicum of people are starting to wake up. I get emails and voicemails pretty regularly from people who say, I voted for Donald Trump in 2016 and even in 2020, but I can't do it anymore. Anyway, what do you think? I'd love to know. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. You can also email me, as always, daily at dollemore.com. Leave a comment below. That's helpful for the channel. And if you want to help support my work, produce my work, take part in making this channel grow and reach more people, you can click the join button below, become a channel member for $2 a month, hit the super thanks button, or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. Follow me on social media. I'm at Dollemore on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook, Blue Sky, all of them at Dollemore. I'll see you there if you show up. It'll be a party. Be genuine. Take care of one another.